Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so again, our agenda items are how do you prepare for virtual learning while you have time prior to September 8th? Agenda item 2, we will go over some important dates to remember. And then agenda item 3 is information on what the virtual school year will look like for 2020, 2021. Okay, Ms. Rosie, would you like to share agenda items?
Yes, ma'am. En la agenda van a ver tres partes de lo que vamos a hablar, tres pláticas.
Is now exiting.
Y una de ellas es el entrenamiento de aprendizaje virtual. Okay, esa es en la agenda 1, va a haber agenda 2, agenda 3. Y ahorita ella les va a explicar paso a paso. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, so trainings. How do I make sure I am ready for virtual learning? What can I do now to prepare?
Ok, habla de los entrenamientos. Para ustedes, los padres, ustedes se preguntarán cómo ustedes estarán preparados para el aprendizaje virtual y cómo me puedo preparar. Go ahead.
Okay, so our next slide is there are specific trainings. I know in the spring we did not have the opportunity to prepare for this happening. So a pandemic happened and then we just went to what we knew how to do. So because we've had time to plan and prepare the entire summer, the district has been hard working on resources for parents. So one of the resources that I want to share with you, you should have received a call from Interim Superintendent Dr. Lathan. And you should also have received email blast as well from HISD. There is a parent course. It's called Parent Introduction to Virtual Learning Online Course. It will go over some of the platforms that I will mention here. It goes through how grading will be taken. It goes through how to help your child submit a course. I actually took it myself as a parent. I have a rising 8th grader that will be at Gregory Lincoln, so I wanted to know what information was being shared. So it is very user-friendly, and there's a link here in the PowerPoint, which I will post a PowerPoint in our chat when we're done. So I will let Ms. Rosie translate the information for the virtual learning online course for parents.
Thank you. Ok, entrenamientos para los padres. Ella estaba diciendo que por todo esto que ha pasado, en la situación que está no solamente el Estado, sino que las escuelas, no habían chances para que ustedes vieran otros entrenamientos, pero hay un entrenamiento en línea en la página de Houston. Se llama Introducción para los padres a los cursos en línea de aprendizaje virtuales. Aquí ustedes van a poder ver los grados, los cursos y las clases para los estudiantes. So, esta es una herramienta buena para que ustedes vayan y tomen este curso, esta introducción. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, okay. So in addition to that parent virtual course, and again, that's already up and running. I was able to go through that as a parent myself and as an administrator. I wanted to see what you guys would see, but the parent virtual learning online course is ready now. There are also some HISD webinars, according to the feedback you provided the district from the spring learning on resources or trainings that would be helpful. So the webinars are through Teams, but they're also recorded and posted when they're done. So you can find these on the HISD website. The next two are Wednesday, August 19th, which is technology tools and digital resources for your student. And then there's the next session is Wednesday, September 9th, getting to know the hub, which we'll speak more about the hub shortly. But there is a complete list of all of the webinars available for parents on our HISD website.
Okay. Una de las cosas importantes que dijo Ms. Salvador es de que ella como directora y como padre de familia, teniendo una hija en el distrito de Houston, también ha ido a tomar este entrenamiento para aprender. Al igual está hablando de que el distrito tiene webinars donde usted, bueno, el siguiente sería miércoles, agosto 19. Este sería acerca de tecnología, recursos y herramientas digitales. Al igual, el día miércoles, septiembre 9, el nuevo aplicación que tenemos que se llama The Hub, es HUB. Esta aplicación es lo que estarían usando y es bueno que ustedes vayan y vean estos webinars para que aprendan más y así puedan ayudarles a sus hijos. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, Parent University, again, is geared to supporting parents during virtual learning. The themes are set for pretty much through the spring, but the first sessions are geared towards, again,
Patricia
the virtual.
Swanigan?
So you'll notice for Parent University. Hi, Ms. Swanigan, how are you? Tuesday, September 15th is 2020-21 school year 101. So that sounds very exciting and interesting. Tuesday, October 20th is family engagement related to virtual learning. So again, they've laid out all of the sessions for the fall and the registration is coming soon. But again, both the webinars and the Parent University topics and dates and links to sign up are on our HISD website.
Ok, ella está hablando de la Universidad para los Padres. Igual estas son fechas importantes que ustedes tienen que recordar. Martes, septiembre 15, hay una de estas clases o webinars, como le pueden llamar, para que ustedes vean. La primera va a ser de registración. También hay otra el día martes, octubre 20. Esa sería el compromiso familiar. Así que les pedimos que vayan y vean estos webinars y la Universidad para los Padres. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. Next, I wanted to share some important dates, upcoming dates. We have set aside September 1st, 2nd, and 4th for student pickup. Teachers will be coming back virtually on the 24th. We have devised a schedule to promote social distancing where the teachers are coming in as well as our co-teachers to create what we're calling virtual learning kits. So teachers are creating binders, materials. I know Ms. Robbins is creating an art kit for each student. So there will be materials to support virtual learning. It may be that we're sending home the Go Math book or handwriting books, whatever the teacher has prepared for your child. So on that day, the teachers have also been invited, those that are comfortable coming out and smiling from behind their masks to wave at their new kids. Again, this is not the typical school year. Back to school is one of my favorite times of year. This year will be no different. So we're making sure, although we're in a pandemic, that we continue some of those things that make us a close-knit community at Wilson. So we will continue virtually with some other activities you'll see on the next slide as well. So you will receive information the week of the 24th, August 24th, of who your child's teacher is. And which of those days are you picking up first, the September 1st, September 2nd, or September 4th? The time we have scheduled, because the teachers and the co-teachers are in training that week, it is 2:30 until the end of our day. So about 2:30 to 4 and 5 if we need later pickups for parents. So I will again turn it over to Ms. Rosie for translation.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Ok, está hablando ella de las fechas importantes para recordar. Han puesto a un lado las fechas de septiembre 1, 2 y el 4. Estas fechas se van a usar para que ustedes vengan a recoger los paquetes de aprendizaje virtual que los maestros están poniendo para que ustedes los puedan recoger estas fechas. Al igual, dice aquí que si pueden venir a entregar cualquier aparato de tecnología que van a regresar, si es que no van a regresar a la escuela. Quiere también que sepan que en agosto 24 los maestros y todo el personal va a estar de regreso, pero vamos a estar igual virtual. Igual en esta semana ustedes van a recibir información de quiénes van a ser sus maestros. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. And thank you for always adding in my excitement. Thank you so much. I know I get excited and I skip ahead my slides, but I think you're following me well. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The next date here is Friday, August 28th. there will be a technology survey sent out shortly. This survey is only for parents that are in need of technology. So again, help us by only completing the survey if you need technology. So what we're suggesting for K2, we found that iPads worked well for the littles, and for 3rd grade and up, laptops seemed to work best for all the activities that they had to complete and submit. And then we are checking to see if you have access
Unknown
to internet.
participant is now
And
exiting.
if not, if you're in need of a survey for each child at Wilson, there are only 5 questions: last name, first name, and then the 3 questions. Do you need laptop or iPad? Do you need hotspot? And then we ask for your contact information. So that will be due back on Friday, August 28th. Again, we are trying to prepare for any technology needs.
Ok, la siguiente fecha que ustedes tienen que recordar es viernes, agosto 28. Este es el día que ustedes van a entregar o llenar la encuesta familiar de tecnología. Con esta encuesta ustedes nos van a dejar saber si ustedes están en necesidad de algún aparato como una computadora, una iPad. Entonces aquí llenando este formulario de ustedes o una encuesta, ustedes nos dejan saber qué es lo que necesitan. Es algo rápido, es solamente 5 preguntas. Pregunta su correo electrónico, el nombre del estudiante, el grado, así que es algo rápido que ustedes pueden completar, y esto será para el día viernes, agosto 28. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
And Ms. Rosie, I also want to mention that the survey is posted on our Facebook in both English and Spanish, and the Spanish email will come out as soon as we're done with this meeting.
Perfect. Ok, también quiero recordarles que esta encuesta ya está en la página de Facebook de la Escuela Wilson. Está solamente la forma que está en inglés. Al final de esta reunión, la directora va a poner la encuesta en español para que ustedes puedan llenarla lo más pronto posible. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
You're welcome.
So again, back to school, although it's not our normal back to school, we do want to continue with some of the activities that make back to school so special for us. So we will begin with a virtual Meet the Teacher. So this will be an informal drop-in to meet your new classroom teacher. Again, this is virtual, so it will be on Teams. So again, we had 100 plus parents on this call this evening. So that's one thing we figured out how to tackle was Teams, if you had not done so before this evening. So the virtual Meet the Teacher is very informal. If you think back to Ice Cream Social, if you remember, you bring the kids, you pop in, you meet who your teacher is, and the goal will be to find out who your teacher is, see their
now joining
face, and they will give you directions for finding them on the first day of class, which is September 8th. So this is virtual Meet the Teacher on Teams. It's Thursday, September 3rd. Sessions begin at 3 and then again at 4:30. So again, this is just a quick pop in to meet your teacher for the year. And if you have multiple children, that's why we have the 2 sessions. One begins at 3 and the next one begins at 4:30.
And it's important, we are used to doing that drop in and drop out at your convenience, but because these will be presentations, it will be important to arrive at 3 o'clock or at 4:30.
Dice que otra fecha importante, ya que todo ha cambiado por la situación en la que estamos pasando, hoy día todo va a ser virtual. So, un evento especial es la reunión virtual para conocer el maestro. Esta reunión va a ser el jueves, septiembre 3. Y van a haber 2 sesiones, una a las 3 de la tarde y la otra a las 4:30 de la tarde. Es importante, dice Miss Cristo, que estén con tiempo. So, si es a las 3, ustedes que se aseguren de estar a las 3 ya aquí con nosotros, porque van a haber presentaciones. So, es importante que todos estemos en tiempo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. We will also host our open house virtually in Teams. That will be on Thursday, September 17th, and that begins at 5:30, and that is a parent-only event, just as if we were
unknown participant is now joining.
brick and mortar school, we have the virtual open house, and it is important information for parents. We purposely put that on the 17th to give you time to join the class on the 8th. You go through that first 4 days, and then you'll have that second week, and then we'll come in and we'll have
Is now
lots
exiting.
of questions, and lots of your teacher will be able to give you feedback on the first few days of virtual learning, and he or she will be able to give you expectations for the year and answer any questions or concerns at that time. So the 5:30 p.m. is only for parents, and again, that's an informational session with you and the classroom teacher.
Bueno, otro evento especial es la reunión de la casa abierta virtual. Esta reunión solamente va a ser para los padres, y ella dice que lo han hecho el jueves septiembre 17 para que así ustedes puedan tener tiempo, ¿verdad? Ya 4 días que los estudiantes están en la clase. Esta reunión va a ser a las 5:30 de la tarde. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I will stop to see if there are any questions regarding technology or any of the events. Ms. Crystal, if you would check the chat if there are any questions that still need to be answered.
Not at this time. You may continue.
Thank you. Okay, so now we move into virtual teaching.
Hello,
and learning.
I have a question. I'm not in the Teams link because it would not work for me. I kept getting denied.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
How do you get permission for the Teams meetings? Because I would like to be able to log in, over the computer for the meet the teachers and the virtual open house.
Are you a brand new Wilson parent?
I'm not, and I also stopped receiving emails.
Okay, so that was the concern that I voiced this morning in our session. It seems like because we're over the summer, HISD is transitioning from one platform to another. And I've been receiving lots of emails and updates from parents saying either you're receiving the email but not the phone call, and you've always received both. And now it seems like there's something off in the system and it needs time to be updated. So if you have a student at Wilson, you will be able to log in as a parent at Wilson. So we will make sure we give you that information at our virtual Meet the Teacher night so that you have it whether you're logging in as a guest or as a Wilson parent.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
We do have some questions that came in.
Yes, ma'am.
Where else can they locate the technology form if they're not on Facebook?
So the technology form, I will do this after, and I'm going to make myself a note. Because I realized there's a glitch with our school messenger system, as I just mentioned before, I've been trying to put all information on our
Unknown participant is now exiting.
web page. So going old school for a bit, I guess. So on the school web page, directly under the welcome from the principal, you will see different links. So there's a link to the pop in with the principal. There's a link to our next our special call SDMC meeting. So I wanted to make sure, because I realized that parents were reporting a concern about not receiving everything, that just go and check the school webpage if all else fails. If you're not on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, then again, just go to our school website. And if one of our staff members that's on the call would go ahead and put a link in the chat for our school website. But once you link to Houston ISD,
Unknown participant is now joining.
There is a question about whether or not there is a recommendation of iPad versus laptop for early childhood students, including pre-K and kinder.
From what was reported to me, it seems that
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Handling and functioning from the iPad. So that's my recommendation for pre-K through second, is if they have an iPad or a tablet. If they have a laptop, that's fine. But from the feedback, it seems the tablet or iPad worked better for the programs that the littles had to use in the spring.
Just a clarification that you will need to complete a form per child.
Yes, per child.
Yes.
Again, that just makes it easier for us to sort.
Clarification that the virtual meet the teacher will be them meeting their individual teacher.
Yes. So class assignments will go out the week of the 24th. You'll get a personal call from either the classroom teacher or the co-teacher inviting you to that event, but it will be a Teams meeting with your assigned teacher for the year.
And just an apology to everyone. Yes, we are aware of the distraction of the notifications, and we have been trying to work with technology to fix that. Unfortunately, it has not happened just yet, but we are aware of it. That's why we postponed beginning the presentation, because we learned our lesson from the earlier meeting, and with there 100 of you, then it was very, very distracting at the morning meeting. So thank you for your patience. We appreciate your grace and courtesy.
Okay, and so we'll move on to, are there any more questions that stand out, or can I move on to virtual teaching and learning?
It looks like they're just saying that Imagine Math was not necessarily iPad friendly, so that's something to just be aware of. And then a question that if they have technology that like they have technology starting out, but something happens and it's no longer working, will they be able to get it during the course, or is this their only time to request?
No, that's our goal, because things happen, so we do understand that. So at any point you're not able to access virtual learning, we'll need to know. So you'll contact your teacher and they will let us know, and we'll work to solve that.
If they have already submitted a technology request straight to HISD, they also need to fill out the form for us at the school level.
Yes, please fill out our form so that I make sure I know and that I have it so that we can plan for our campus.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask, I think I saw that Miss Christie is on. I'm going to ask Miss Christie to reply in the chat for particular information on assistive technology and hearing headsets for our students that are part of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program.
Okay, so this is next. Thank you, Miss Crystal. This
Unknown
next
participant is now exiting.
Is virtual teaching and learning 2020-2021. And so I just wanted to share with you, the district did take your recommendations, took your notes, your concerns from that survey that was issued in the spring. So if you were able to complete that, thank you very much. And according to that, the district has put some parameters in place that are the same and set across the district. I know I also heard that from our parents about one child may be on Google Classroom and one child may be on Seesaw, and it was hard to keep up with all the various programs. So I will let Ms. Rose.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Yes.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Of the same programs across the district, and that's from pre-K all the way to grade 12, all the way to our seniors. And then I'll share what those platforms are. Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Ok, está hablando ella de la enseñanza virtual y aprendizaje que viene siendo de este año, del 2020 al 2021. Aquí ella les va a enseñar, a continuación les va a dar los ejemplos de plan de aprendizaje y también les va a dar el ejemplo de las actividades y aplicaciones. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you. So the first platform is Teams. So last year, some teachers used the Teams for meetings like we're using here this evening. Some teachers decide to use Zoom. So the district is only supporting the use of Teams. There are certain things in place that the state will be looking for this time around in the fall that we were not responsible for in the spring. And Teams is one way for them to track our activity. So we'll all be using Teams for any virtual meetings. So virtual meetings as a whole group, virtual one-on-one meetings, all teachers across campus, again, pre-K through grade 8, will be using Teams. So again, as I mentioned before, it'll be very important for all parents to have it downloaded. Again, you can have it on your laptop, you can have it on your phone, to make sure that you are able to meet virtually with your classroom teacher.
Ok, una de las aplicaciones de la que ella está hablando ahorita es la que estamos usando, que se llama Teams. Es muy importante que ustedes bajen esta aplicación en su teléfono, en su iPad, en su computadora, porque esta es una de las aplicaciones donde nos vamos a estar reuniendo con los maestros virtualmente, a los estudiantes de pre-K al 8 grado, igual que ustedes padres van a tener estas reuniones con los maestros y con nosotros. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. I have to remember to unmute myself. Okay, so the next platform that we will use is Class Tag. I'm really excited about the Class Tag. In the spring, your teachers may have used Remind, they may have used Dojo. There were different platforms that our teachers used to communicate with you. I am very excited about Class Tag. It will take the place of all of those platforms, but in addition, I have created an account that will, I will be able to send you the paw print, all the weekly updates, all the text messages through Class Tag. Really excited about that because we control the email and the phone number, so we are able to make sure that it's always up to date. Not the same as with School Messenger, as we just heard about some of the glitches with School Messenger. So I believe Class Tag, and I'll still continue to use the School Messenger, but our second form of communication will be Class Tag. And again, that will be for us from pre-K all the way to 8th grade. So again, you'll receive messages from the school level. So I'll send messages from that school level, but then each classroom will have their own Class Tag classroom, and teachers will, during that week of the 24th, invite you to their Class Tag, and you'll start receiving messages from Class Tag. Class Tag, you can either have it on your phone or you can have the messages sent directly to your email, and it's up to you how you receive those messages.
Ok, otra de las plataformas importantes que se van a usar este año es Class Tag. Ok, es importante igual de que ustedes bajen esta plataforma, esta aplicación para que ustedes puedan tener la información a la mano. Igual anteriormente se usaba School Messenger o Class Dojo, que se usaban en las clases para ustedes tener la comunicación de maestro con
Patricia
ustedes.
Swanigan?
So hoy día
exiting.
es recomendable y la única que se va a usar es Class Tag más la que es de Teams, pero Class Tag les va a dar a ustedes la opción de que ustedes escojan cómo quieren recibir la información, si ustedes la quieren recibir por texto o por email, o igual dice que esto va a ser a nivel de la escuela, que van a recibir toda la información igual de clases. O cada clase, cada maestro va a tener esa plataforma de Class Tag. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
And another thing about Class Tag, for me, it was exciting because it's free. As the principal, I love free stuff. So it's free, but also I think it will be helpful for parents because again, on Class Tag, if you have a student in EC, a student in lower elementary, a student in upper elementary, first, God bless you, but you will be able to see the messages and you'll be able to tell which teacher it's coming from. So again, I know that was hard in the spring trying to keep up with all the different platforms and all the different messages, but now it'll be clear and distinct where that message is coming from.
Ms. Salvador dice que una de las cosas buenas es de que esta plataforma de Class Tag es gratis. A ella le gustan las cosas gratis, yo creo que a todos, ¿verdad? Dice que lo bueno de esto es de que ustedes van a poder ver la plataforma está diseñada que si ustedes tienen estudiantes de diferentes grados, van a poder ver cada estudiante, cada información de cada estudiante. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, ma'am. And then the last item or the last platform that we will be using is the Hub. The Hub has been around for a while, especially if you have kids that are in HISD, but it's mostly used for the middle and the high school students. The Hub will be where the kids will submit work. They will go to check for their work plan, and that is where teachers will post the work plan. So again, this is where, Teams will be used for all of the meetings, and the Hub is basically where they'll meet for the classroom for all of the information they need for class, all of the materials, all the resources, their work plan, and also where they'll submit work to the teacher.
Ok, igual ella está mencionando la tercera plataforma que se llama The Hub. Esta plataforma ya ha estado en el sistema disponible para los padres que tienen estudiantes en el distrito, para los de escuela intermedia y los de high school. Ellos ya estaban usando esta plataforma. So, hoy día es para los estudiantes de elementaria también. Aquí ustedes van a poder ver los materiales, los planes de trabajo. Aquí los estudiantes van a ingresar su trabajo, entregar su trabajo, y los maestros, por supuesto, van a estar poniendo los trabajos en esta plataforma. Acuérdense que Teams va a ser para las reuniones virtuales y The Hub va a ser para que ellos hagan su trabajo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes.
So I did mention that traditionally the hub has been used for high school and middle school students. However, our very dedicated Montessori teachers are making it user-friendly for our littles all the way up
Is
through
now
our 8th grade
exiting.
students. And they're also making it aligned to Montessori, because that's what we do as Montessori educators. We make sure that it follows the child. So one of the, I just took some snapshots. Our very dedicated Montessori teachers have been collaborating. So our 2 Montessori campuses in HISD, and they have been working on their off-duty time. Thank you, teachers. They're awesome. To make sure our students have something that is user-friendly. So this picture that just popped up, it actually shows a window from the hub, and all students, again, will use the hub, pre-K through our 8th grade students. And actually, if you have kids in other schools in the district pre-K through seniors, high school will use the hub for all assignments. This is district-wide. So our teachers are making it look like what our students would see in the Montessori classroom. So this is an example of a screenshot from the class they're developing in the hub. So this on their work plan, it says 9:15 to 10:15 is morning work period and ELA lessons. It says here your Montessori shelves. So when you click on these blue hyperlinks, it will open up to the grammar shelf. It will open up to the small group lesson in Teams. So again, making sure the hub is not only user-friendly, but it follows our Montessori philosophy.
Ok, ella está igual hablando de la plataforma Hub. Igual les vuelve a decir que esta plataforma fue usada por las escuelas, sigue siendo usada por las escuelas intermedias y las secundarias, pero ahora lo están usando para las primarias, y nuestros dedicados maestros Montessori lo están usando en una manera que sea amigable y que sea de ayuda para los estudiantes de elementaria. Gracias, dice ella, a esos maestros que al igual están trabajando en su tiempo libre, invirtiendo su tiempo para aprender y hacer estos tipos de trabajos para hacerlos más fácil para los estudiantes. Aquí ella les mostró en la página un ejemplo del plan de aprendizaje que se va a usar para el programa Montessori. So, esta es una de las ventanas, si lo ven ahí, que se va a estar usando. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
And so I also captured another screenshot from the hub course our teachers have been working on this summer, just to show, see, I get excited and I flip through all my slides, just to show you again the hard work the teachers have put in. So you may have seen Bitmoji. I know I've seen it floating around on my Twitter feeds lately, but this is a Bitmoji classroom, and it's actually interactive. So wherever the students click, so if they click on one of the Montessori materials on the shelf, if there was the pink tower or the bead cabinet, wherever they click, see, I get excited and get ahead of myself. Wherever they click on the Bitmoji, it opens up that shelf. So again, giving students that Montessori experience, even from home, because our teachers are awesome like that. Miss Rosie.
Yes. Ok, anteriormente la primera screenshot que ella tomó, si ven las letras amarillas en cada una de las cajitas, ese es un hyperlink. Cuando ustedes presionan en eso, ahí quiere decir que están los trabajos que los maestros van a poner para los estudiantes. Al igual, ella tomó otra fotografía, otro screenshot. Esta es, digamos, una clase virtual. Los niños van a poder hacerle clic en cada uno de los libros, y esto va a dar una clase So este es un ejemplo de aprendizaje de una clase que van a estar usando los maestros. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. So just to summarize this slide and to make sure there are no questions about the platform.
Is now exiting.
A school, we will use the class tag for all communication in addition to continue with the school messenger and of course emails from your teacher. But again, across our building, pre-K-8 and across the district, we will use Teams for virtual meetings, and we will use the hub for looking for work and for submitting work.
Ok, les vuelve a recordar de las 3 plataformas. Les dice de Teams, que es para todas las reuniones virtuales que van a haber. Les dice de Class Tag, que es para que tengan la comunicación de padres con maestros. Y les dice otra vez del Hub, que es para que tengan todos los planes de trabajo y puedan los estudiantes entregar su trabajo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, ma'am. And then Ms. Crystal, I'll check to see if there are any questions on Teams, Class Tag, or the Hub.
So let's give them a second to type because they really listened and paid attention and they're saving those questions for whenever you finish the section. So I did see a couple that came in that we can do while we give them a chance to type any more in. Are there any recommendations for materials that they should purchase for their students prior to the start of the school year? Any supplies that they need to buy?
That's a great question. So we will send out the week of the 24th when we send out the class list or your class assignment. We will send out a generic list. We are still collecting the $45 student fee, and this year that's pre-K through 8. Traditionally, middle school pays a different fee, but this year because we're virtual, they won't do all the activities they usually do. So we will still collect the $45 fee, which teachers are using both virtually and planning for when we're back on campus. So a lot of the things that you will need when you pick up the first week in September, teachers will already have gathered that for you. However, some teachers will give you a list of here's some other recommended things that you probably want to have on hand, but that will vary by teacher, but you'll also get that the week of the August 24th.
A question about hub assignments. Will kids at the same grade in different classrooms have the same assignments?
So because this is, if you just look at these 2 screenshots, you can tell how much work our teachers have done. What we are recommending for the teachers is that they are able to collaborate more and share this work. So we are hoping that that results in more of the assignments and more of the expectations from classroom to classroom will look the same, but again, teachers will still have that flexibility to plan their work plans and lessons as they choose. However, we do hope to see more consistency because we're all using the same platform this time.
One thing I would say is that we are seeing a lot of these teachers spending their free time all meeting together with their teams to make sure that they are helping and supporting each other and developing the best for each student.
Estaban ellas hablando, habían unas preguntas acerca de los materiales escolares. Dice la directora que para esa semana de 24 de agosto, igual ustedes van a recibir toda la información. Sí están pidiendo, hay una lista actualizada del material escolar que van a necesitar, pero PTO está pidiendo una cuota de $45 que es para los materiales escolares también. Les pide por favor que ustedes puedan pagar esta cuota para que así igual nuestros maestros, ya que están usando su tiempo libre y algunos de ellos están comprando materiales con su propio dinero, así podamos ayudarlos a ellos con esto que ustedes van a estar pagando. Hay más preguntas, pero yo estaré contestándoles a ustedes personalmente después de esta meeting, si es que gustan platicar conmigo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
One thing that I am seeing is that there's conversations back and forth about supply fee. And so
Unknown
PTO
participant is now exiting.
That you hold off until Monday to pay that. I see the link is there, but if you will hold off until Monday to pay for your supply fee, they are updating all of their website right now.
Thank you. And I think I see Ms. Kim on. So Ms. Kim, at the end, questions and answers, if you want to stay on to see if there are any other specific PTO questions, that will be great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Rosie. Thank you, Ms. Crystal.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next section is the master schedule. I wanted to go ahead. This is the part that I really wanted to be able to share with parents. I've been receiving, again, emails and phone calls. Thank you all for the feedback. That's the reason why we're having this session today. But the big piece I wanted to share with families is the master schedule. I know some of you may be planning to return back to work and you're trying to figure out childcare for your child. I know some of you are interested in creating pods that you are able to support each other in that, which I think is an awesome idea. So I do want to share the master schedule with you. However, before I share the master schedule, again, we'll try to do the same thing. You'll look at the master schedule, we'll talk through it, and then you will ask your questions if I didn't cover it. But before we begin, I need everyone to do this with me. I need everyone to take a deep breath in and out. All right, because we can do this. Again, we did a great job in the spring. Now we've had more time to plan. The state has given us some guidelines to follow, but again, we still have flexibility in how we make that look for our families at Wilson. So it is very important, Ms. Rosie, that everyone breathe. So if you would translate that for me.
Bueno, ahora vamos a lo bueno, ¿verdad? Dice la directora que por favor se relajen y respiren profundo, porque ahorita ella va a compartir el horario que va a ser para los estudiantes, que igual aplica para ustedes los papás. Así que respiren. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
And I can't see, so Ms. Crystal, you check to make sure everyone's taking their deep breath in and out already.
We can do it together.
Nobody's on video, so we just have to take it.
So here's the schedule. So again, take that deep breath in. Then exhale. So the one big difference that you'll notice right away is that you will see that the state has said last time during the spring, we were very flexible in how the groups met and how the teachers scheduled their time. This time, because the state has a specific way we're giving credit for the online learning, we did have to submit a master schedule that reflects our day from 8:30 until 4. So if we were really in brick and mortar school, a schedule that shows what would take place each part of the day. But I will share how we still have some flexibility in what that looks like. Ms. Rosie.
Ok, esto es lo que le está enseñando es el horario de trabajo para los estudiantes. Quiere decirles que en la primavera pasada fue casi similar, pero no fue tan estricto como lo va a ser hoy día, ¿verdad? Para que lo sigan los estudiantes. Así que va a compartir ella cada paso para explicarles qué es lo que significa cada actividad. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
So again, the expectation is not that students are sitting in front of the computer from 8:30 to 4, or that teachers or administrators are sitting in front of a computer from 8:30 to 4. Of course, that is not our Montessori philosophy. So I will go through how, again, we have flexibility. So Ms. Rosie, if you would translate that, because that is very important to remember.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, ella está recalcando que la expectativa es de que los estudiantes estén trabajando de 8:30 a 4, no que estén sentados enfrente de la computadora. Esto aplica igual a los maestros. Los que ellos quieren es de que se esté trabajando en este horario. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. So I will go through the schedule, and again, hopefully it will all come together for you by the end of this section. So column 1, if you notice, it says the activity. So across our campus, you will see our Montessori components reflected. So we did want to, if you look at morning meeting time is at the very beginning of the day, and you'll see reflection and community meetings. That's a big part of what makes Montessori special, is giving the kids the time to reflect at the end of the day, giving them time to get their day started with goals. And we wanted to make sure that's reflected. So across the school, virtual school, morning meeting is each morning and reflection is at the end of each day. So column 1 just shows the activity. And then column 2 will show where that takes place, whether it's in Teams, or if it's in the hub. Remember, there are only two places these things take place, either Teams or the hub. So Ms. Rosie, I will let you explain what's in the activity column, column 1, and then column 2, the delivery.
Okay. Si ustedes pueden ver en la actividad 1, en la columna 1 son las actividades. Ahí está cada actividad que se va a hacer ese día, como la primera es la reunión matutina, que son las reuniones en la mañana, ¿verdad? Igual la siguiente sería el ciclo de trabajo. Es muy importante en nuestra escuela, que es Montessori, que igual los estudiantes tengan su tiempo para poder reflexionar y hablar unos a los otros. O para eso son estas reuniones. Y luego la columna número 2, estas son las aplicaciones de dónde es que se va a estar trabajando. Si miran en la segunda, la que llega es Teams. Esas son las plataformas donde ellos van a estar ingresando para hacer este trabajo o estas reuniones. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, so the way this is divided up, again, you have activity in column 1, activity delivery format in column 2, whether it's in Teams or the hub. And if it's in the hub, that means students are working independently from their work plan. Then you see the column that says Children's House, which is EC. Again, we are making sure we continue to use our Montessori language. So Maria Montessori referred to our littles, our youngest learners, as Children's House. So we'll take on that terminology. So early childhood is Children's House.
House. My name is House.
You will see lower elementary 1, lower elementary 2. That's more for us on the campus level.
Is now
That's
joining.
how we divide the teachers. We have 9 teachers, so there's a group of 4 teachers, a group of 5 to make the schedule work. And then you'll see upper elementary in that last column. And then because middle school is a little bit different, which is Kinder, according to Dr. Montessori, and I'll share the middle school once we're done with Children's House, lower L and upper L.
Ok, está hablando de las otras columnas. La siguiente sería la de Children's House, que esto es para los pequeñitos, que son de pre-K 3, pre-K 4 y Kinder. Ok, igual ustedes están viendo el horario de instrucciones. Igual está elementaria, primaria, inferior, que son 2 columnas, porque se ha dividido para que hayan menos estudiantes en cada grupo y para que haya suficientes maestros para poder ayudar a cada estudiante. Y la última columna sería para la primaria superior, que es Upper Elementary. Igual ustedes pueden ver el horario y en la primera columna están todos los nombres de las actividades. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, so Children's House, again, I heard Ms. Rosie say this, it's pre-K 3, pre-K 4, and then Kinder. And then lower elementary, of course, is our 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders. Upper elementary is 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, our middle school students are 7, 8. So thank you, Ms. Rosie, for that.
Yes,
so the activities that you will see here is you took great notes in the first session, Ms. Rosie. At this time, so thank you.
I did.
Again, the activity in column 1. So again, across the campus, we start with a morning meeting, 8:30 to 9. So that's our first check-in of the day with students. Then you will see from 9 until 11 is our work cycle. So think about the morning work cycle as if we were on campus. That
unknown participant is now exiting.
Make sure was reflected in virtual learning as well. So you'll notice for pre-K 3, 4, and Kinder, it is 9 to 11. For lower elementary, it is 9 to 11:30, as well as upper elementary. During this time, the teacher is working with small groups of students. So there's small group lessons with the teacher that will take place on Teams. If the teacher is not meeting with the student on Teams, then that student is working independently in the hub or on their work plan. So again, the Teams meetings are one-on-one with the teacher in a small group. And then the hub, if you see anything that says work plan or hub as in the second column, that means they're working independently on their own. So I'll let Ms. Rosie translate.
Yes. Bueno, si se dan cuenta en la columna número 1, donde les dice las actividades, digamos que como dijimos, las reuniones matutinas en la mañana, que son de 8:30 a 9, luego sigue el ciclo de trabajo. Aquí es donde van a estar los maestros en Teams, en la aplicación Teams, donde van a estar enseñando a los grupos pequeños. Van a estar dando las lecciones con los maestros. Al igual, si el estudiante no está aquí en Teams, quiere decir que el estudiante va a estar tal vez registrado en Hub haciendo su trabajo. Quiere que recuerden que Teams es para que puedan reunirse con los maestros y el Hub es para que hagan su trabajo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, ma'am. So from 9 to 11 or from 9 to 11:30, that does not mean your student is engaged with the teacher that entire time. Just like we did in the spring, the teacher will assign the group times for students. So the teacher may say, I want to meet with all of the first graders at 9:30 on Tuesday and Thursday for our math lesson, 9:30 to 10. For Children's House, it could be the teacher wants to meet 20 minutes for a lesson on movable alphabet. So the teacher will assign that group time. If they're not in a group at a specific time during that 9 to 11, if they're not in a synchronous lesson face-to-face in front of the teacher with teams, then they're working asynchronously, which means that they are working from their work plan from the Hub independently.
Ok, ella les quiere recalcar que no es de que van a estar de 9 a 11:30 viéndose con la maestra en Teams. Lo que quiere decir es de que los maestros van a contactarse con ustedes y les van a dejar saber el sketch. Ok, nos vamos a ver de 9 a 9:20 o de 10 a 10:30. So, el maestro va a decidir y les va a dar esta información a ustedes. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, and I do want to mention the synchronous lessons will be recorded. So if a student is unable to make that 9:30 meeting on Tuesday because of a doctor's appointment, or maybe mom and dad are not home,
now exiting.
then the teacher will continue that small group lesson and record the lesson. And then the student can come back whenever they have time, maybe after mom and dad are home from work at 5 o'clock, they can go in, watch the lesson. The teacher will give the activity and the student can go in and complete the activity in the Hub. So again, that's where I say we have that flexibility. So yes, there will be a 9:30 lesson for all first graders for math. However, if you can't make it, know that that lesson is recorded and stored so that you can come back at your convenience to make sure your student has access to the lesson and access to whatever the activity was.
Ok, so una de las flexibilidades que tiene esta manera de trabajar es de que si su hijo tiene una cita al doctor y por cierta razón no puede asistir al horario que la maestra dio, todas las clases van a ser grabadas. Así de que ustedes pueden durante el día ir y a ver esa clase que fue grabada y ahí ver qué fueron las tareas o la actividad que la maestra pidió que se hicieran. So, esto es bueno porque hay flexibilidad para poder completar el trabajo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
And then when I look at this schedule, I also first think as a parent. So if you have multiple students across levels, if you notice all the morning meetings are 8:30 to 9, again, you have that flexibility to say, Veronica, you're going to go to the morning meeting on the laptop this morning from 8:30 to 9, while Jennifer, she will watch the recording of the morning meeting and do whatever the reflection activity was for the day. So you don't have to log in synchronously. It will be saved for later if you need to have that flexibility among siblings as well.
Bueno, esta flexibilidad será buena para aquellos padres que tienen más de un hijo o hija que van a tener que estar en la reunión de 8:30 a 9 al mismo tiempo. Solo lo que pueden hacer es dejar que uno de los estudiantes un día esté en la reunión y que el otro pueda ver la reunión grabada más adelante. So, esto es lo bueno de esta plataforma, que esto va a estar grabado y que pueden venir durante el día a ver qué fue lo que se grabó en la clase. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay. And the small group lessons will reflect what it looks like in the classroom. I see that in the chat because I'm multitasking as usual. So for Children's House, the lessons probably are 15 to 20 minutes. For lower elementary, usually those lessons are about 30 minutes. If it's an extension lesson, it may be up to 45. Same thing for upper elementary. Most of those we've carved out as 45 minutes, especially if they're in an intervention group. So it could range from the littles, the EC students, the Children's House, pre-KK. Of course, I saw the comment Ms. Crystal put in there about attention span, but those lessons are short lessons that would, again, replicate what would be in the classroom. And again, of course, our teachers are being mindful that we are virtual.
Ok, una de las cosas igual que quiero recalcar es que las clases van a ser, no van a ser más largas, sino que van a hacer como que si estuvieran en la clase, en la escuela. So sería las lecciones de 30 a 40 minutos, 45 minutos para los grados más grandes, pero igual va a ser casi igual que como están en las clases regulares. Go ahead.
Okay, so that is what that covers morning meeting and the morning work cycle for pre-K through 6th grade students. This time we have all hands on deck. Even during virtual school, we did not have that luxury in the spring. So this fall we'll have co-teachers available, our music PE, everyone will be back teaching virtually. So we will have ancillary, our middle school, we term that as electives. So students will meet with the science teacher, they will meet with the music teacher, they will meet with the PE teacher, and they've developed lessons virtually. They did a great job in the spring making that come alive. So they have some great ideas to keep our students engaged and enriched during virtual learning. So just as if we were in brick and mortar school, EC students are pre-K, 3, 4, and kinders, and Children's House will have electives each day. Whether, again, you watch the lesson later or if you are able to join live, there will be a live lesson or a pre-recorded lesson each day for Children's House from 11 to 11:30. And then you see lower elementary 1 is 1 to 1:45. Lower elementary 2 is 1:45 to 2:30. And then upper elementary, that time is 2:30 to 3:15. So the ancillary teachers will be waiting for them in that Teams meeting to give a lesson or would have posted something for them to preview for a lesson. So again, they still have that experience.
Bueno, uno de los beneficios que vamos a tener va a ser que van a haber co-teachers que van a estar trabajando igual en los grupos pequeños. Igual vamos a tener las clases auxiliares y electivas, que quiere decir que vamos a tener ciencias, matemáticas, perdón, I'm sorry, I went wrong. Las clases auxiliares que vienen siendo arte, música, PE, esto va a estar ahora disponible. So, igual las clases van a ser grabadas y ustedes pueden ir durante el día y ver estas clases y hacer que sus estudiantes, que sus hijos hagan la actividad que fue pedida.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes, ma'am.
What you will notice in the next row here is lunch. So at around 11:30, between 11:30 and 12, all of the levels from Children's House all the way to Kinder will have what we're calling a brain break. So we built in that time lunch, practical life, movement, if you want to get the kids outside, if you want to do creative time, if you want to do mindfulness activities, character education. So teachers will give you some ideas of what that could look like. But again, that is up to you as the parent of what takes place during that break time. So there's a lunch. If you notice, Children's House, lower L and lower elementary, that's 11:30 until 12, followed by that practical life, that brain break from 12 to 12:30. And then we have added self-selected reading for students. So just time for them, again, to unwind, have some downtime away from the screen, away from the work plan, just to choose a book that they enjoy reading and to read on their own. So from that time, 11:30 until 1, I know in the first meeting, someone asked for Children's House, is there time for a nap? 12 to 12:30 could be the time that you choose to have your student to have a nap, you know your child best of when it is time for a nap time. However, there's also, if you notice, the Children's House schedule ends a little bit early. So if you wanted to do the nap at the end of the day, which is very similar to how we do it at school, they have nap and then they go off to ancillary. You could also fit it in during that time. So again, that's some flexibility for the littles, knowing how much they can actually handle with screen time and being focused after that work cycle.
Ok. Si ustedes ven las siguientes columnas, la siguiente sería el almuerzo. ¿Ok? Durante estas horas que viene siendo, digamos, de 11 a 1 de la tarde, si ustedes ven aquí el horario, este es el tiempo para el almuerzo, este es el tiempo para lo que le llaman la vida práctica, tiempo de creatividad, para que se muevan, tiempo de descanso para el cerebro, para que no estén tan cansados, tiempo de reflexionar, al igual, o leer en voz alta, tiempo de descanso. Ahora, ella habla para los pequeños, digamos, ellos van a tomar su siesta y ella da un ejemplo que pueden tomarlo de 12 a 12 y media, porque los pequeños tienen que tomar su descanso, y una de las preguntas que hubo en la sesión en la mañana era acerca de la siesta. Go ahead, Salvador.
Siestas are important for Children's House. Yes. Ms. Salvador's been enjoying her naps during virtual time, so virtual summertime. So naps are important. We need to make sure, again, we follow the child, and when they're ready for that nap, we need to make sure they get that nap. So again, that's the flexibility for those of you with littles.
Dice que las siestas son importantes para los pequeños, so esa es una de las flexibilidades que tiene este horario con el que están trabajando. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, anytime you see that a lesson is in Teams on under delivery format in column 2, if it's on Teams, that means that the teacher will be there at that time giving a lesson, or there's a pre-recorded lesson at that time with an activity. However, it will either be recorded if it was a live lesson, or again, it will be stored so that if you're not available at 1 o'clock, maybe because of your schedule, parent schedule of how you've set up your day or your childcare, know that any lesson that says Teams will be recorded or be pre-recording so that you have the flexibility to go back, watch the recording, and be able to do that assignment at your own convenience. Mm-hmm. So that's for cultural work, read aloud. Of course, the end of the day, we're ending together. And so everywhere you see Teams, that will be the case.
Okay. Ella quiere recalcar otra vez acerca de la aplicación Teams. Siempre que ustedes miren Teams, si lo ven en la columna número 2, significa que el maestro está en vivo dando la clase o reuniéndose con los estudiantes, o que ya está grabada la clase. Así que ustedes en todo momento pueden venir y ver la clase grabada y completar la actividad que fue requerida por el maestro. Igual ella mencionó el trabajo cultural que está igual en Teams, y mire los horarios. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. Mm-hmm. I also want to mention at the end of each day, we've set aside time. It could be 30 minutes to an hour in most cases, that teachers will have what we're calling office hours and student check-in. So they're checking in with students that may need additional help or may have questions. And also that's the time for parents to check in. Maybe you have questions about something that was assigned or where to submit something. So each day we have dedicated time at the end of each day for teacher office hours.
Ok, igual ella quiere decirles que al final del día, ellos han apartado ese tiempo porque va a ser para los maestros que tengan sus horas de oficina. So, durante este tiempo ustedes puedan comunicarse con los maestros si es que tienen preguntas o dudas. Sería al final de la escuela. Igual son horas de oficina para los maestros. Go ahead,
The
Isabella.
only thing remaining here is in the children's house column. You'll notice there is additional kinder work time. And that, again, it mirrors what we do in brick and mortar school. The kinders do continue working while the pre-K 3 and 4 are napping. So we wanted to keep with that. So that's an additional 30 minutes for kinders to have one-on-one time with either the teacher or the co-teacher, or just to continue to work on their work plan through the hub.
Ok, lo último que queda es, después de las 2:30, 3, es el trabajo que van a hacer los estudiantes de kinder. Como ven en el horario, los estudiantes más pequeños ya han terminado, así que este tiempo que queda será para que los maestros trabajen de 1 a 1 o en grupos pequeños con los estudiantes de kinder. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and so there's one more thing I want to mention before you start putting your questions in the chat about the master schedule. So school is a rising 8th grader, and we did struggle in the spring about staying on schedule. We actually struggle in the summer about staying on schedule. So I do like having a structure, having that framework, and having some consistency. So I am looking forward to that in the spring as a parent. So although, again, there is a structure, remember, you still have that flexibility to move these pieces around however it fits best for your family.
Okay, I lost you there for a couple of minutes, but I just heard the last things about upper elementary, so I'll try to translate it.
Just make sure, yeah, that's like I said, for me as a parent, it's helpful to have that structure in place, but also knowing that parents do have that flexibility of, balancing their work schedule, their home life, and multiple students in the household.
Ok, so lo que dijo al final es acerca de la consistencia en la estructura del horario que está aquí ella presentando, pero igual es la flexibilidad que hay, que ustedes pueden ir y ver las clases pregrabadas. Así que más que todo es la consistencia para completar el trabajo. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
And then the last thing I do want to mention about the master schedule before we show you the kinder or the middle schools, grades 7 and 8, of how that varies just a little bit for any middle school parents here with us tonight. The 9 to 11 is the work cycle. The one thing that I'm really excited about with this virtual schedule and with the virtual teaching and learning is that, again, one of the bright spots, of course, this is not how we want to start the school year, but one of the bright spots for me is that all of our co-teachers will be teaching virtually, all of our ancillary teachers, the elective teachers, our SPED teachers. So again, all hands on deck. This time that I have circled here in red, 9 to 11, if your student is in need of additional support in reading or math, we will have co-teachers on hand as well. So for the most part, your regular classroom teacher will provide Montessori lessons according to their scope and sequence of where they are in the Montessori curriculum. So there should be at least 5 groups or 5 times for your student to meet with the teacher. But in addition to that, the co-teacher will also be able to pull groups for students that may be struggling with reading or math, or just may need that extra or additional time or support because they didn't understand something that happened with the teacher. So I'm really excited about being able to use our awesome co-teachers. You'll get to see how awesome we already know they are. So I think that will maximize, again, learning time, but also give additional support to parents. So it could be that your student has a lesson on Tuesday with the regular classroom teacher. That's a 30-minute lesson at 9:30. And then maybe at 10, they could be meeting with the co-teacher because it's an extension or it's more, or they struggled with something in math or reading, and the co-teacher is there to support them as well. So that gives us an extra layer of instructional support. So I am really excited about that. And hopefully parents, you will appreciate and support that additional level of support that teachers will be able to provide as well.
Ok, ella está hablando de la sección donde dice plan de trabajo, que viene siendo de los horarios de 9 a 11. Ella lo que está explicando es de que todos los maestros y los co-maestros van a estar disponibles para ayudarlos a los estudiantes. Da un ejemplo que si un estudiante está teniendo dificultad con cualquier área, los maestros van a estar disponibles en ciertos horarios para poder ayudarlos a los estudiantes. So, esto es bueno porque ellos van a estar enseñando, por supuesto, en lo que es el programa Montessori, las lecciones Montessori, como siempre, van a estar dándole apoyo a los estudiantes que necesitan. Igual los maestros de educación especial van a estar disponibles para dar la extra ayuda que el estudiante pueda necesitar. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. And while I am pulling up kinder or middle school, I do see a question. Parents are asking about which ancillaries or how do they know if they're on lower L1 or 2. The teachers have received this, and you'll receive your teacher's individual schedule. So they're using this, but this gives you a idea. Again, my goal tonight was to give you enough information so that you can plan what September 8th looks like in your household. So your individual teacher will send you their schedule, whether they're Children's House, lower L1, 2, upper L, or kinder. And in that schedule, they'll give you direct links and information on how to get to their team's classroom and to the hub as well. So it will be more individualized coming from the classroom teacher. And I'll go ahead and pull up kinder, and I will let Ms. Rosie translate.
Thank you. Una de las preguntas que hizo uno de los papás es acerca de la primaria inferior. Si se dan cuenta, hay dos secciones, dos columnas, elementaria 1 y elementaria 2. El papá preguntaba que en cuál de las columnas ellos iban a estar. Recuerden que los maestros los van a contactar y les van a dar esta información. So, van a tener la información de quién va a ser su maestro y en qué columna ustedes van a estar del horario. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. So for kinder middle school, grades 7 and 8, again, that morning meeting at 8:30 until 9, which is, again, something that happens in our middle school program if we were in traditional classes. Our middle schoolers have electives. Each middle schooler has 2 electives. The first elective runs from 9 to 9:45. So these are in teams. So that means that's a live lesson. And then the second elective is 9:45 to 10:30. For any middle school parents with us this evening, please remember that some of those electives are for high school credit. So if your students are in Spanish 1 and Principles of Technology, those do count for high school credit. So we want to make sure they are in those live lessons. Those live lessons will be very important. But also remember that if your student is not able to make it to that lesson at 9 o'clock, for some reason, that lesson will be recorded with a follow-up activity, again, giving you that flexibility to do what works for your household. So again, you can see middle school has their, I'm going to stop, Ms. Rosie, so you can explain the lesson.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, lo que está diciendo ella, que los horarios, si ustedes ven la reunión de la mañana de 8:30 a 9, es para todos los estudiantes de lo que es kinder hasta el 8º grado. Al igual les está hablando a esos papás que tienen estudiantes en middle school, lo que es la escuela intermediaria, les está dando el horario y les está diciendo que aquí es donde los estudiantes toman dos clases selectivas, son las clases auxiliares, y aquí estos créditos que ellos van a estar tomando son para la escuela secundaria, lo que es la high school. So es importante que ellos asistan a estas clases. Ahora, igual les está diciendo, recuerden que cada clase va a estar grabada en Teams, o puede ir y ver la clase y hacer las actividades al final del día o al horario que usted puedan hacerlo. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Yes, ma'am. So here is kinder, again, middle school, grades 7 and 8. So they have the electives. I did want to mention that. I'm glad we did it on this recording because I do not know if I expressed the importance of electives for our middle school students. Again, middle school, their lunch is a little bit later, 12 to 12:30. They also have that lunch break, that's 30 minutes of personal world. So again, they have that time to reflect and to have a brain break prior to going to their first instructional block. So for middle school students, 10:30 to 12 is their first instructional block of instruction. That will be with Mr. Moe, Ms. Prout, and Ms. Bush. They figured out how to do that as a rotation. So again, they will have that in the schedule for you when you receive the personalized schedule from the teacher. And then they have an instructional block 2 from 1 to 2:30. Again, Mr. Moe, Ms. Prout, and Ms. Bush will be in that instructional block 2. And then again, our students in middle school with reflection, community meeting, restorative practices. Again, that's something that we want to continue even virtually. Our students have independent work time in middle school, and we paired that with the teacher office hours so that if students have questions or concerns during that time, they can check in directly with the classroom teacher. But also remember, those teacher office hours are also for parents to check in as well if you have questions or concerns.
Ok, quería recalcar la directora que esas dos clases selectivas que los estudiantes de middle school, de upper elementary, middle school van a estar tomando son importantes. El horario de ellos es un poquito más tarde, pero al igual van a tener su hora de comida, que va a ser un poquito igual creo de media hora, de 12 a 12:30. Igual está recalcando de que los maestros, los 3 maestros, Mr. Mohagan y los 3 maestros que son de la escuela de middle school van a estar disponibles, y les vuelve a recordar de que los horarios de oficina de cada maestro es para que ustedes se comuniquen con ellos y hagan sus preguntas. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and that is middle school. So we went over what the Children's House schedule looks like, lower elementary, upper elementary, kinder. And then I've been trying to check the chat as we go, but I will check in with Ms. Crystal to see if there are any specific questions related to schedule before we move on to how attendance is tracked. And I wanted you to see the schedule first so you can think about that as it relates to attendance, and then we will look at grading.
At this time, we have not had any additional schedule-specific questions come in, but we can give them just a moment to see if any new ones come in, and then you can start preparing to go over attendance, which I think is what I saw in the questions was more about attendance as it relates to the schedule.
Okay. All right. Okay, attendance. How will we track student attendance? So again, just keep in mind what the master schedule looks like and some of those components that we talked about as we go into attendance. So how is attendance tracked? So again, these are stipulations from TEA. If you remember, in the spring, we only tracked the student work. We did not track daily attendance. So this is different. And this is a big piece to make sure your student is counted present. So here's how the district will track and monitor. It's how your teachers will track and monitor if your student is considered present for the day. The students are engaged in learning activities via the hub. So again, remember, the hub is where you can view your work plan, where you can upload work from the work plan. You can submit assignments, participate in a Teams meeting with teachers. So that could be it could be the Teams meeting one-on-one with the classroom teacher. It could be the Teams meeting with the co-teacher that you're getting additional support. It could be the Teams meeting with the art teacher. So all of those meetings count as participation. Or it could be that you submit an assignment via the hub. These are the 3 ways that students are counted present. So again, when I talked about that flexibility of maybe you're not able to log into the live Teams meeting, but you are able to go into the hub and view the lesson and submit an activity. So your student would be counted or considered present. And then I'll stop so that whoever needs to mute can mute. And then, so Ms. Rosie can translate bullet 1, and bullet 2 is just an expansion of bullet 1, but I'll go over that one as well.
Yes, ma'am. So, lo siguiente es la asistencia de cada estudiante y se preguntan cómo vamos a realizar un seguimiento de asistencia de los estudiantes. Ahora, hay 3 maneras como se va a tomar la asistencia y el verano pasado no pudimos hacer mucho lo que era la asistencia, pero ahora la agencia de TEA nos está pidiendo que tenemos que tomar la asistencia en serio, así de que van a haber 3 maneras como se va a tomar la asistencia. Son los estudiantes que ingresan a una de las plataformas a hacer su trabajo, como la plataforma de Hub. Eso quiere decir que estuvieron presentes. Esto tiene que ser durante los horarios de las 3:30, pero acuérdese que cada clase va a ser grabada, so van a igual estar contados presentes. Ahora, la otra que ella dice es si completan el trabajo, los maestros igual van a contarlos como que están presentes. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
I think you're muted, Ms. Salvador.
I am muted. Thank you. Students can engage with their teacher through the following. So daily participation in the hub, completion of independent reading and work assignments, use of assigned digital tools. So for us, that's Imagine Learning or Myon, or their group interactions. So the group lessons with the teacher or the one-on-one interactions via Teams. So again, that's just an expansion of bullet 1. Again, this is how students are marked present for the day.
Okay. So en cualquiera de esas aplicaciones o plataformas que ellos hagan o el trabajo que lo hagan después van a poder ser tomados como asistencia.
And again, just a reminder that all of the student assignments are submitted via the hub, which is different from the spring. So all of for each class, there is, and you'll receive directions, and students, of course, will be instructed on how to submit work to the hub.
Okay. So recuerden que todas las asignaciones y los trabajos y las lecciones o las tareas van a estar en la aplicación Hub. No va a ser como anteriormente de que eran otras plataformas. No, ahora solamente va a ser por la plataforma de Hub. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. So students who have not logged in by the following time, and remember we are on basically the middle school schedule. We're a K-8 school. So students who are not logged in by 3:30 will be marked absent. So if your student has not logged into a Teams meeting or a Teams lesson virtually with the teacher, has not interacted with Imagine Learning within the hub, or has not submitted an assignment in the hub, then they are considered absent at 3:30. However, at 6 o'clock through our school messenger system, just as if we were in brick and mortar school, there will be a call out for parents to say, you know, that call out that goes out to say your student was tardy or your student missed first period. The call out will go out at 6 to say your student was marked absent for the day. And then there is, I'll go into the next bullet that explains how you can correct that absence for the day. So I'll let Ms. Rosie go over the bullet 1 and then make sure that all parents are aware that there is a call out at 6 p.m.
Okay, so recuerden que los estudiantes de kinder a octavo grado que no se han ingresado a una de las páginas o no han terminado su trabajo a las 3:30, que es el horario de la escuela, van a ser marcados ausentes, y como el mensaje de voz que mandaban anteriormente, cada vez que sus estudiantes estaban ausentes, donde que les recordaba que los estudiantes estaban ausentes, van a recibir esa llamada a las 6 de la tarde. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and so the next bullet explains how you can resolve that absence. So again, I said there is flexibility. So if you're not able to follow that 8 till 3:30 schedule, then maybe you're home from work at 5 o'clock, and that's when you start engaging with your student. You still have until, once you receive that call at 6, you still have until 11:59 p.m. I was joking with Dr. Parrish and Dean Perkins about that 11:59 p.m. For any parents that have taken an online course, I had to submit something through Blackboard. I'm sure you didn't do this, but you know, you kind of waited till the last minute and you had to have it in before 12 and you were submitting it right at 11:59. But however, and I know that's not going to happen with our students. However, if you are on a schedule where you have not been able to submit any work by that 3:30, you get the call at 6. You have until 11:59 that same day to be marked present. And the way that you can do that is go in, view the live lesson that the teacher recorded for you at 9 o'clock, complete the assignment and submit it. You could go in and do Imagine Learning through the hub. That will also count. Or you could just submit an assignment. So again, those 3 ways are how we are tracking if a student is considered present or not. So that's how you can resolve an absence once you get that call at 6 p.m.
Ok, ella está hablando de la flexibilidad otra vez que tienen estas plataformas. Ahora, si su estudiante fue marcado ausente, le quiere recordar de que se puede resolver esta ausencia si el estudiante ingresa a la plataforma Hub a hacer el trabajo o a ver una de las lecciones que fueron grabadas antes de las 11:59 p.m. Eso es importante, así se puede resolver esta ausencia. La directora sabe de que pues hay muchos padres que trabajan y que tal vez llegan a las 5:30 de la tarde y es cuando se ponen a trabajar con sus hijos. Así de que sí, es la flexibilidad que hay en estas plataformas y que se puede resolver cualquier ausencia mientras ustedes vayan y hagan el trabajo antes de las 11:59. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and then I see parent question that I'll go ahead and address here, and then I'll let Ms. Crystal kind of sort through what the other questions could be for attendance. A parent is asking, does it have to be the same lesson they missed in that day? No, it does not. It works just like the work plan does. As long as it is a lesson that's viewed or an assignment that is submitted, it does not have to be from that exact same time period. Like you missed the 10 o'clock lesson, the 10 a.m. lesson, and now you're trying to catch up on the 10 a.m. It could be the lesson that you missed at 9 a.m. the day before. You're submitting a cultural lesson. It does not dictate what the activity is. You just have to submit an activity that is on the work plan by 11:59. So that was a great question. Thank you for that. And also a reminder, because I know some of our students like to work ahead, but I do, because we are tracking attendance, want to make sure parents are aware of this last bullet. If a student is engaged in remote learning and complete the entire week's worth of learning activities on Monday and does not log in for the remainder of the week, he or she will be marked present on Monday only and counted absent for Tuesday through Friday. So again, I know some of our students are worker bees and they like to get their work done early. However, the way that we are tracking attendance, students need to log in or attend a Teams meeting or submit a piece of work each day to be counted present. They can't just get their work plan and complete all the assignments on Monday. They need to have a type of interaction on each day of the week to be counted as present.
Okay. Ahora lo que dice ella, que tenemos algunos estudiantes que trabajan bastante, les encanta hacer el trabajo antes del tiempo. Si el estudiante completa el día lunes todo el trabajo de la semana y ya no ingresa a la plataforma Hub los demás días, el estudiante será marcado presente solo el día lunes, que fue el día que completó todo el trabajo, pero será marcado ausente para el resto de la semana si es que no ingresa de lunes a viernes en la plataforma. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. Again, I'm also looking at the questions in the chat. These are all great questions. So there's a question that says, the attendance, does the child need to engage? As long as the child engages in an activity between 8:30 to 11:59, they are counted present for the whole day. And that is correct. Middle school will give you additional information because they're on a block schedule. Theirs will look a little bit different, but for our pre-K through 6th grade students, that is correct. They would need to engage in one of those 3 ways to be counted as present. There's also a comment that this is a good time to remind parents that attendance does determine how we get our funding. So yes, we do want to make sure that students are getting credit and being counted as present. But again, also with all these stipulations from TEA in the state, we do want to make you aware of, just like we were in brick and mortar school, this is how we receive our funding, counting on students being present, whether it's virtual or face-to-face.
Okay.
And then I will let Miss Rosie translate while Miss Crystal checks the chat for any additional questions. Thank you, parents. These questions are great.
Uno de los padres puso en uno de sus comentarios de que la asistencia es muy importante, al igual es donde las escuelas, por la asistencia de los estudiantes, es donde la escuela recibe pues toda la ayuda que necesita para mejorar. La agencia de TEA es una de las que da esas ayudas, so la asistencia es muy importante. So, qué bueno que este padre está recalcando que es importante. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and I'll check with Ms. Crystal to see if there are any additional questions that I may have missed.
Yes, we do have some. Is there a backup system in place for students to be marked present or to meet attendance guidelines if they lose internet connection? So the specific question asks, can the parent write in to explain the situation? So my question to you is there another way for them to meet attendance guidelines not through internet?
Yeah, so if that by chance was an issue, if internet by chance went down or electricity was out, I know that's been happening quite a bit here. You should, at the end of each day, we mentioned those office hours. That's when teachers are going to check to see if, someone that's usually there is not there, and they're going to check in with you anyway. But that is the time to tell the teacher that you lost internet connection. And the teacher may say, well, just take a picture of the work that you have, and then the teacher can automatically mark the student as present because the teacher has basically had a virtual interaction with that student, although it was over phone call or text message or email. So those considerations we'll have a plan for if anything like that happens.
Una de las preguntas que hicieron es acerca de la asistencia. ¿Qué pasaría si se va la electricidad o pierden la conexión con el internet? ¿Va a estar a este estudiante lo van a marcar ausente porque eso pasó? Dice la directora que eso se puede arreglar siempre y cuando tomen una foto de su trabajo. Un maestro en las horas de oficina, ese es el momento donde ustedes les pueden dejar saber y el estudiante puede ser marcado presente para ese día. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay.
And then I see just clarifications. Multiple requests for this, so I'm going to ask you to repeat it one more time. What are the different ways that children can demonstrate attendance for attendance purposes? How can they demonstrate presence or be counted present for attendance purposes?
So the way that students can be counted present and this is why we're using the hub. The one way that is really different from the spring is that when students log into the hub, we actually can run a report of how many minutes they've spent in the hub. So that's one way. The second way is that they actually upload an assignment to the hub. So something off of the work plan, they uploaded a math assignment, a writing assignment. That's the second way. They upload the actual assignment. And then the third way is they attended, whether it is a PE lesson, whether it's an art lesson, whether it's the small group lesson with the co-teacher, or whether it's the face-to-face lesson with the teacher. all three ways count. So face-to-face virtual lesson, I'm calling it face-to-face because they would be on the virtual call on Teams. So a Teams lesson interacted in by submitting an assignment to the hub, and it has to be submitted to the hub by the 11:59, or it could be that they completed Imagine Learning, but of course they have to log in through the hub, and it was logged that they did 30 minutes of Imagine Learning for that day. So those are the three ways. Again, I think that's where we'll have flexibility in demonstrating that our students are present and accounted for.
Then just one point of clarification about middle school. Middle school has the exact same attendance requirements, but if they are attempting a high school credit course, then they have to submit to that as well. So if they've submitted attendance and attended some other meeting, but they didn't show up to information technology, then they will not get credit for information technology. So that's something to be very aware of because they have to hit their hours for high school credit.
Thank you, Ms. Crystal. So that is the difference for middle school, is that just like during the regular day, like if your student showed up for first or second period, you still get a call that they missed third and fourth period. So there will be requirements for each of the periods. But again, the teachers are working to make sure that can take place within the day without it being overwhelming of the things that a student would have to do or submit to be counted as present.
It looks like those are all of the questions that have come in so far. You may continue.
May I please tell them about the three ways so that they will know as well? Ok, uno de los papás preguntó otra vez acerca de las tres maneras cómo puede el estudiante ser marcado presente. Las tres maneras es si se ingresa a la aplicación Hub y está por más de 30 minutos en sesión. Ok, la segunda es hacer las asignaciones que dieron los maestros antes de las 11:59 p.m. Y la tercera es si se ingresan a la aplicación de Teams, que es donde es, como le dice la directora, cara a cara, en los grupos pequeños.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
So esas son las tres maneras como el estudiante puede ser marcado presente para ese día. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then our last piece here before we'll take any additional questions, how are we monitoring progress? So how will the school determine progress for my child? So again, this is not very new information. Again, the state has given us specific guidelines, but at Wilson, we had already thought through some of these pieces. So a lot of this will be familiar, will not be anything new. Teachers will post grades on a weekly basis. And there will be two specific types of grades each week. And I'll let Ms. Rosie translate that, and then we'll talk about the two types of grades.
Ok, otra de los temas es el seguimiento de los progresos del estudiante. Cómo sabemos que el estudiante está progresando. Aquí ella está explicando, los maestros van a poner los grados todas las semanas. Los estudiantes dice que ingresan, permítame un segundito. Ok, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. So, los primeros dos que dice es que los maestros van a estar dando los grados cada semana, y hay dos diferentes maneras como ellos van a estar dando los grados. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
So the two specific types of grades. One grade is what you are very familiar to of how we measure progress in the spring. One grade will reflect progress on the Montessori work plan for each area. If you remember, we had a school-wide rubric that showed for our lower elementary through upper L how students received a high pass or mid pass or low pass on the required assignments submitted from the work plan. For our children's house, we know that looks a little bit different. And then our middle school, and I'll share that rubric again just to jog your memory, will follow the district's numerical schedule. However, the first grade will reflect a student's progress. So what they've done on there to show growth on, or the number of assignments or works completed within the week on that work plan. So the first way is progress on the Montessori work plan.
Ok. La otra sería cómo se reflejará el progreso del estudiante. Por supuesto, van a usar las rúbricas escolares, igual siempre en el, lo que es lo del programa Montessori. Igual va a ser basado en lo que es la maestría de los grados de cada área. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and then the second grade, which is different for us this time in the fall, teachers will give 1 grade to reflect mastery. So has the student not only submitted the work, progress, but how did they do on the work? And so that will be the second grade and students will have, again, 2 grades for each subject.
Okay, so habla de los segundos grados que serán igual por semana, los cuales van a estar disponibles. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay. And then the next bullet, again, teachers will be recording 2 grades per subject each week. So 2 grades for math, 2 grades for reading, 2 grades for cultural work, whatever their subjects are. These grades will be available for parents weekly, and the teachers are required to update weekly through our HISD Connect Parent Portal, and we will make sure all of our parents have their login information for that platform.
Okay. Ahora los maestros registrarán 2 grados por asignatura cada semana, y estos grados serán disponibles para los padres y estudiantes por medio de la página del distrito. Ellos les van a dar más información cómo ustedes pueden registrarse. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Again, the second grade is a grade that reflects mastery. So teachers will determine which piece of work from the week reflects mastery of the text taught. So it could be, or the objective for the week. So it could be a test or a mini assessment or an exit ticket that the teacher has prepared, or it could be a reflection. So the teachers will decide which piece of work, and they will let the students know, they will let the parents know which piece of work will reflect the mastery grade for the week out of all of the pieces of work on the work plan.
Okay, igual los maestros son los que van a determinar cuál trabajo o cuál lección fue la que los estudiantes tuvieron una maestría. Igual les van a dejar saber a ustedes. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, and then here, again, and we use these in the spring, so you should be very familiar with them, but we'll use our rubrics to determine progress. So those 2 grades progress, we'll use our rubric that you saw in the spring, and then the addition is an assessment or to show mastery, and that will be that second grade. And then I'll let Miss Rosie translate, but here are the rubrics. They're small, but if you glance here, you remember there was the criteria that showed how a student could earn the high pass or the mid pass. For middle school, it showed how they can earn an A or a B and the percentages there.
Okay, igual van a estar ustedes familiarizados con las tablas rúbricas escolares que usamos anteriormente. So aquí está cómo es que está presentado. Estas serán usadas igual para determinar los grados semanales en el plan Montessori. So ella les da el ejemplo aquí. Go ahead.
Okay, and then I will check with Dean Perkins to see if there are any questions regarding grading during virtual instruction.
Sure, we're going to give a moment for people to type in their questions about grading, but while we wait, we do have a question. Where will the parents be able to find the school rubrics?
The rubrics, we will have the teachers post the rubrics in the hub, but I will also, as a reminder, post all of the documents that I referred to that we used last spring on our web page as well.
Okay. Una de las preguntas que hizo papá, ¿dónde pueden adquirir las rúbricas escolares? La directora contestó que estas rúbricas los maestros van a ponerlas en la plataforma Hub, pero igual ella va a agarrar las que usamos anteriormente y las va a postear. Go ahead.
Okay, and Ms. Crystal, were there any other questions that we needed to address related to attendance?
Just a question about, will middle school be graded the same?
So middle school, yes, they will have 2 grades for each area as well. So again, progress, and they will use their rubric from last time. They worked really hard to define that for students of what that looks like. And then they will have that, I call it like an end of week assessment, if you want to think traditionally what we're accustomed to, of an assessment or a test at the end of the week that reflects that second grade for mastery.
Ok, hicieron una pregunta acerca de middle school, que si iban a usar si van a hacer con los grados igual que anteriormente, y la directora contestó que sí, van a usar los mismos 2 maneras de grados. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
That looks like all of the questions I see for now. You may continue.
Okay. And then this is our time for any additional questions and answers or concerns you have. You can put those in the chat. Also, if we still have a PTO representative
is
here.
now exiting.
I hope that's not the PTO person exiting.
I'm here.
If you want to share any information about PTO, I know in the earlier group I mentioned that we would work together to make sure all of your information went out in our return to school packet concerning school supply and any spirit items. I know parents were already asking about spirit items. Again, wanting to keep with our spirit days, although we're virtual, want to keep those things again that make us special and unique. So yes, ma'am, were there any things from PTO that you that I failed to mention?
No, it's school supplies. I mean, we're revamping our own website to hopefully facilitate the communication as well. So part of that, we're not ready for you guys to, pay for school supplies and Spirit Church just yet, because we're pretty much transitioning everything, hopefully, by Monday, and that way we can get started. So if you guys have Facebook, join the Facebook PTO group. That way we can start making some of the announcements there, and then from there, hopefully, kind of try to gather as much of the communication and probably work with you, Principal Salvador, and getting that communication out when we're ready.
And I also want to mention that PTO actually will be on class tag as well. So you'll get information from them too, school-wide on class tag. So excited about that piece as well. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
You're welcome.
And so I'll go to Dean Perkins to see if there are any, and Miss Rosie, do you want to translate our PTO update?
I can do some of it. Ahorita tenían preguntas acerca de la organización de PTO. Una de las representantes estaba aquí presente y estaba diciendo de que su página está siendo restaurada, pero que claro, ellos van a tener a disponibilidad lo que ustedes necesitan, como camisetas y todo eso que necesita para tener el espíritu de la escuela. Igual no se olviden, mencionó acerca de la cuota de los $45 para los materiales escolares. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rosie.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then I'm looking to see if there are any questions. I think Ms. Crystal is tackling those in the chat here. Right now, I see there's a question, will the whole 2020-21 school year be virtual learning? Right now, we've planned for the first 6 weeks, and then at that time, the district plans to reevaluate to see. But parents can choose to, if you choose to opt in at the end of this first 6 weeks to continue virtually the rest of the year, you are able to opt in as well. If you choose to just opt in for the next 6 weeks, if we are back virtually or brick and mortar, then you're able to do it by 6 weeks or for the whole year as well. But right now, we do not have an update. We'll have an update hopefully in October to see what the remainder of the 2020-21 school year looks like.
Preguntaban si todo el año escolar va a ser virtual. Hasta este momento no sabemos, pero lo que sí sabemos que va a ser las primeras 6 semanas y de ahí van a tener más información. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Okay, I see a question about IAT or intervention or any art meetings or things that were in progress prior to leaving campus. What they have told us is that it is safe. We will call parents to schedule the testing. It may be on campus or it may be Hattie at Hattie May, of course, following all social distancing, making sure both the evaluator and the student has on mask. Very safe situation. Right now, they have not okayed that, but that is the plan. Otherwise, it would be a virtual assessment. And of course, our intervention department is looking at what that would look like and things to consider with a virtual process. However, for the most part, what we're looking to do, because we do not want to, we want to ensure our students get the services that they need. And in most cases, those evaluations do need to be face-to-face with some of the protocols and procedures that are used. So for the most part, we're looking at how can we safely bring in students for those individual evaluations.
Alguien preguntó acerca de las evaluaciones y de las reuniones de IET. Todavía ellos piensan que va a seguir igual. Y claro que las reuniones van a ser virtuales y claro, tomando todas las precauciones que puedan, si es que estas reuniones van a ser de persona a persona, van a seguir informándose y les van a dar más información. Go ahead.
There is a question about uniforms. Will uniforms be required this year?
So HISD has waived uniforms. All we're asking is that for the most part, the students have on a clean shirt. They can wear pajama bottoms if they choose, but we do want them in the habit of getting up and getting ready for school. We will include like spirit days where we want them to send in pictures of them in their Wilson shirts and things like that, trying to keep it fun. But HISD, even if we're back on campus, there is no uniform policy this year.
Ok, hubo una pregunta acerca de los uniformes. Preguntaban si los uniformes van a ser requeridos. La directora contestó de que el distrito de Houston no está exigiendo no está pidiendo los uniformes, así que los estudiantes con que puedan usar una camiseta, una blusa limpia, no importa si los pantalones son de pijamas, pero que sí usen una camiseta limpia. Go ahead, Ms. Salvador.
Thank you, Ms. Rosie. So I see another question about IAT and ART and 504 meetings. Meetings will still happen virtually, and we will continue with assessment. So if a teacher has referred a student, if a parent is asking for an evaluation, we will continue with those, whether it's virtually or, like I mentioned before, some possibility of some in-person, but we will continue to make sure our students get what they need and continue those processes.
There's a question about when they will pick up supplies.
So that is scheduled for that first week in September. So again, the teachers are reporting virtually. We are inviting teachers into the building in small groups, again, making sure we are being safe and social distancing as much as possible. So we need to give teachers time to get into the building and to create materials, purchase materials, make copies to have those ready for you. So they will be ready that first week of September. And again, we have invited teachers to come wave hello to you so that you can at least see their masked faces to help distribute those packets. But I will start from now on sending a weekly Sunday communication that gives you updates and upcoming events for the week. Because I know we're having issues with School Messenger, I will make sure I post it on our social media, and I will always post it on our website because I know everyone has access to the website, even if you don't get the School Messenger.
Hay varias preguntas que están haciendo y cuándo van a poder recoger los paquetes para los estudiantes. Que ustedes van a recibir información todas las semanas, al igual va a estar en nuestras páginas de la Escuela Wilson. Ahí ustedes van a poder ver todas las actualizaciones y toda la información que necesitan ver. Go ahead.
There's a question about Little Heroes.
Okay. Little Heroes, again, the district has not given us permission yet to have any of our vendors on campus, so that does include Little Heroes. We were trying to, again, to figure out ways to support parents that may be returning to work, but right now, again, the district is just being very safe about the safety of staff members and students with our pandemic. So right now, Little Heroes is not on campus. Of course, when we are scheduled to be back on campus, they will be on campus as well with safety procedures in place.
Preguntaron acerca del programa después de escuela Little Heroes. Todavía el distrito no ha dado permiso de que estos programas regresen a la escuela. Les van a dar la información ya cuando ellos la sepan. Go ahead.
Just a reminder to all that these slides will be available on the website. And it looks like that's it. We made it through them.
Okay.
So, okay, go ahead, Ms. Rosie. I'm sorry.
Les quiero recordar de que esta reunión va a estar disponible después de que se termine la reunión.
Also, the beauty about the teams is that as soon as we're done here and Miss Crystal ends the recording, it will pop up in this chat that we've been asking the questions in. So when you go back up to the beginning of whatever time she started recording, the video will actually be in this chat and you have access because you're in this group at this time. So we'll post there. I will also, when we're done with this meeting, post a PowerPoint here. But as a second step, especially for parents that were not able to make it, I will post again everything on our webpage. And again, where you need to look for the new information is right under the principal's welcome.
Les vuelvo a recordar de que esta reunión ha sido grabada y en el momento que se termine esta reunión va a estar puesta aquí mismo donde estamos. Van a poder ver la grabación anterior y toda la información igual que ustedes necesiten va a estar abajo de donde está el nombre de la directora. Go ahead.
And then I'll have Ms. Crystal look for any final questions, but I want to do acknowledgements while she's doing that. So first, I want to acknowledge all the 100 plus parents that are on this Teams meeting today. Thank you so much. I know this was a long meeting. The meeting this morning also went about 2 hours, but I wanted to make sure that you had this information as you prepare for September 8th of what this looks like for your family. So I wanted to give you just enough information, again, to start wrapping your mind around what this looks like. And I know we're at the end of the meeting, so if you need to take another deep breath, breathe in and release. Again, we are a strong community. We are Wilson Strong, and we will together make it through this first 6 weeks of virtual learning. So first, I want to thank the parents. So yay, parents, give yourself a I also want to thank our awesome, beautiful Miss Rosie for Spanish translation. Thank you, Miss Rosie.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Hey.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Miss Rosie.
Yeah.
Gracias.
And then
Gracias.
look, Miss Rosie, they love you. And then I can stop sharing my screen now so I can see faces. Okay. I also want to thank Dean Perkins for being here. She does an awesome job monitoring the chat. I know those questions are coming fast and furious, but she does an awesome job monitoring the chat and using the mute button. So thank you, Miss Crystal, for that. All right, so that's all we have. I am back on campus for most of the day. I'm usually there until at least 4 o'clock, 8 to 4. Miss Veronica is there from at least from 6. She's there early from 6 until noon. So if you need us, call the school. If you can't get us on the school phone, send me an email. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but on Teams, because Miss Jones will tell you, Faith knows how to call.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Need to, or you can just message me the way that we're doing here. So you can find me there from your parent or student account. So if you have any other questions or concerns, again, that's why we ended up having this meeting tonight. I want to make sure you have all the information you need to get your family situated for our September 8th start. So again, we are looking forward to the new school year. It will be different. But again, we are Wilson Strong, so we'll get through this together. So thank you all. And as soon as we're done here, I will make sure I post the PowerPoint video again. We'll save in the chat as soon as Ms. Crystal hits end recording. And I will post everything on our website as well. So wishing everyone a safe and healthy weekend. Again, thank you so much for hanging in. I know it was long, but hopefully you got all the information you need. All right. Hi, Dr. Pierce.
Is now exiting.
Hi, Faith.
Hey, Faith.
Martha
Hey,
Gillum.
Is now
Thank you
exiting.
all. Just let us know.
Multiple
if you
people
need
are
me.
now exiting.
If you need Miss Rosie, she's available too.
Estoy disponible.
Multiple people are now
And then I
exiting.
just sit here and watch everyone leave. So
And I'm a quarter.
Good to see everybody.
we don't get to eat
Is
lunch.
now
Please,
exiting.
Mom. We miss you.
Dawn Calloway.
She's so cute.
Is now exiting.
Miss Crystal, you probably want to end the recording.
Hi, Evie's mom.
I don't know if
Hi,
everyone.
Dr. Parrish. How are you?
Yeah, there she is.
Good.
All of us is being
There's
good.
Mom.
Hi, Wilkinson
Hi.
family.